Hi friends, today I'm there with a new interesting topic that is Muthu Lakshmi Reddy. You really found this name familiar in Tamil Nadu, but today I'm going to give a brief about Muthu Lakshmi Reddy. If you're not sure about Muthu Lakshmi Reddy, let's know more about her today. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy was born in 1886 in the princely state of Padukottai in Tamil Nadu. Her father was Narayan Swami Iyer. Her mother was a Devadasi. Devadasis were women who were ostensibly dedicated to the temple deities, tasked with passing on the baton of art of dance to the next generation. The grim reality was different. They were often subjected to exploitation and were considered as prostitutes by British government. It was actually worse than prostitution. No one chose to be a Devadasi. The prebescent girl was initiated into the system by a religious ceremony which ensured her permanent status as concubine. She would be a male patron but no rights to his surname or inheritance. Devadasi women didn't marry and were immune to widowhood. Nitya Sumangali is what they call. It was crass euphemism. After all, you can't become a widow if you aren't married. Luckily for Muthu Lakshmi, her father was an academician and a school principal, a sole oasis in an otherwise barren desert. He gave her the power of education, the class in which she studied at 40 boys and 3 girls, separated by a screen. Even then, the parents of the boys objected, fearing their innocent sons would be ensnared by the prepubescent faction. This may sound absurd but was common trope in those days. One of the teachers resigned in the protest, but her father stood with her and provided her a plank. After attaining the puberty, she was homeschooled and was the tradition in those days. She wanted to change not just her destiny but also those of others. She asked the Maharaja of Padukottai for funds to study medicine. The stunned Maharaja gave her princely sum of rupees 150, which was much needed escape velocity that changed her trajectory. She became the first woman to enter Madras College, Medical College. She was studious and bagged several medals. When she wanted to take obstetrics and become a surgeon, the professor was shocked. Surgery with its blood and gore was considered as a man thing then. Nevertheless, the characteristic persistence, she became an obstetrician. She started catering to elite professionals first. However, a turning point happened soon. Her sister developed a rectal cancer and eventually died. Back then, cancer wasn't known as a public as the emperor of maladies. Those who were unlucky enough to get it were considered doomed. No one wanted to spend a lost cause. So, Dr. Muthulakshmi took it upon herself to go to UK and trained in Royal Macedon Hospital to manage cancer patients. She had a rare combination of strong roots and powerful wings. She came to Madras but faced painful apathy about cancer. She turned to Women's India Association, which helped fund the first cancer hospital in Madras, the Adyar Cancer Institute. One day, 3 girls from Namakkal Runway from the Devadasi system and came and asked her, "Now what will happen of us? Where will we stay?" She realized the dire problem and set about the long journey that would culminate in their emancipation. She sheltered them, but not just them. She started the Avai Home. She met Sarojini Naidu and became a nationalist. Realizing the importance of political power, she went on to become the first woman to join the Legislative Council in British India. She was also the first woman in the world to become the deputy president of a legislative council. She met and married Sundara Reddy on that condition that they will be equals. Dr. Muthu Lakshmi Reddy faced two simultaneously battles, finding a land and funding for the cancer hospital and liberation of Devadasis. For the latter, she had to fight against the likes of Dr. Rajagopalachari. In a meeting, when Speaker expressed solidarity with her fallen sisters, she famously thundered, "How dare you call them as fallen sisters? Female chastity is impossible without male chastity. When the men who exploited them were older and should be held responsible." She knew that they weren't fallen but pushed. She roared at Rajagopalachari and S. Satyamurthy, "If you need someone to preserve the arts and culture, why don't you leave the Devadasis and send the men in your home? The women in your home?" The stiff recite would have wilted a lesser woman, but she was forgot the fire. Her efforts bore fruit and both the issues came under pressure to accelerate reforms. The cancer hospital grew slowly and steadily. She asked everyone who would listen for funds, including King George V. today. It was the world constitute giving life to many, and her statue stands there like a guardian angel. On December 5th, 1947, at long last, the Madras Presidency passed the bill preventing the dedication of young girls as Devadasis. The laurels followed. She was awarded the Padma Bhushan by Indian government. Tamil Nadu government has named the pregnancy benefit scheme and a road in Chennai after her name. Her story is the triumph of grit over the fate. It's a reminder that we can script our own destiny regardless of where we start. Neither social ostracism nor the strictures of the colonial India could defeat her will to triumph. She turns life proverbial lemons into a lemonade spring that continues to give even today. She is the hero. Let's our daughters know about this. Perhaps we should tell her story instead of telling the Cinderellas and the people who are from the other states. Let's understand that this is a India, and India is a land of different cultures and traditions. I hope you like this video. If you like it, do share, subscribe and click the bell icon. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.